Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on comicsandgames.com. Remember, you too can get your comics delivered to your doorstep. Shipping is nationwide. As well as our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And of course, Ian's Display and Accessories. The best stands for Star Wars Marvel Legends, Black Series, Vintage, as well as modern Star Wars and G.I. Joe. Welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New to Hero 2. I'm your presenter, Shibu. Now, before I begin, I just wanted to promise to my subscribers and viewers that starting next week, we're going to get back to what this channel is primarily about, and that's covering modern G.I. Joe comics. So stay tuned. It's going to be a jam-packed week as we play a little catch-up on all three G.I. Joe comics. Now, piggybacking off of last week's success, I've been encouraged to feature another female robot, Chromia, with Arcee being the first lady of Transformers and Outta 1 being the most prominent female Transformer during this Netflix War for Cybertron trilogy. Chromia is often overlooked as she's among like all the other Autobot warriors in the same mold as Sideswipe, Ironhide, and Hound, and the rest of them. So she's just a warrior and she often gets overlooked. Followers of this channel, as well as members of the G.I. Joe community, are well aware of my little niche within collecting. In all the iconic franchises, I have an interest in female action figures and characters that were featured in those shows. In the 80s, it was often a reluctant offering to include a female character in the boys' line toys, but I've just always been fascinated with them, their roles in the shows. Maybe it's because my first G.I. Joe vehicle was the Wolverine and it had the driver CoverGirl. With that aside, let's look at and talk about Chromia and why, despite her not being a prominent G1 character, the figure might be worthwhile to add, especially if you're landed Arcee and Outta 1. Now recall I just said that not being a prominent character in the Sunbow cartoon, the truth is Chromia is actually in our beloved Sunbow series, but you probably missed her because she was there in a blink and then gone. In the episode Search of Alpha Trion, she was part of Outta 1's gang, and she also has a sister named Moonracer who's actually also in the Netflix War for Cybertron series as well. And spoiler alert, Moonracer gets killed during that first part of the trilogy. Now, in the G1 Sunbow series, Chromia was a no-nonsense, 110% into the mission or cause, thirsty for action. You could say she was the female version of Ironhide, looking to bust some Decepticons. I look at her and I see all the brave women serving our country. She doesn't have the fame as an Arcee or the level of importance as Outta 1, but soldiers like her are vital in any army. Speaking of Ironhide, in the Sunbow cartoon, it looked like her and Ironhide are an item, where in the War for Cybertron, they thankfully left robot romance out of the story. It's important to explain to the non-full-on Transformer only fans that there are two versions of a few characters. Initially, they have the ones on the shelves that are the traditional box accompanied by Siege, Earthrise, or Kingdom, and I call them the colored boxes. Then there's the Wal-Mart exclusive War for Cybertron Netflix series white box, with added paint amps to signify battles or becoming a little bit roughed up. Now, we have the two versions of Chromia here. I actually targeted the white box version because the automotive side of me fan, I think that the added splash of black and darker tints really brings out her vehicle mode. Now, unlike the Earthrise or Siege or the regular mainline, these Wal-Mart exclusives the box art isn't overwhelming. They're pretty much plain Jane. So now we have Chromia out of the box, and you know, again, I like the, when you compare it with the original one, the splash of color does make a huge difference. And I'm pointing out where, you know, the little bit of that charred or burned paint applications that was used on this figure. Let me bring up the original one. While that one is nice in its own right, it's just, I would target this one just because of those subtle color differences. I just think it adds more to this figure than it does with its original figure. So, and then here we have side by side with Arcee that we looked at last week, and they just look great together. You know, with the baby blue and the pink, you know, very feminine colors, but still, any guy would love to have this and add this to their collection. They just look really good together, and I'm really happy that I targeted this. And then when you have Optimus behind them, I mean, here he is trying to pretend he's Hugh Hefner over there. Big pimpin' Optimus. But, you know, again, I said it before, he's a little on the small side for these Arcee and this figure, but whatever. And again, my favorite part, tongue-in-cheek, is transforming. But once you get it done, again, I'm not perfect in transforming these modern figures, but it looks really good. Just be wary of that, I guess you would call it the pubic bone or the waist thing that pops out. So that's normal. You just have to snap it back in, but that could be a potential piece that is easily lost. So just keep track of that. But again, the colors and stuff and mounting the gun on the top, I think this is, I like the vehicle itself. I mean, kind of reminds me of one of those electronic Audis, you know, so that's pretty cool. And I love those little damages. To recap, Chromia is another figure I highly recommend fans or diehards to get as well. And I would target this Walmart exclusive before the Kingdom line comes out. So it may be a little bit difficult now to find it, but there are out there. So just be weary of that. And a lot of people just overlook this, but pick it up and give it a try. It adds so much more when you have Arcee and them together. Well, anyway, this is GIJoe World signing off.